Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros podcast. We're here to start it off and talk about the past All-Star Weekend. So, guys, I know you guys were tuned in. What did you guys think about this past All-Star event we saw? I thought it was a pretty good event myself. KJ, what did you think, man? I know you were watching, KJ.
Well, I watched everything, or pretty much everything. I don't know. The All Star Weekend has kind of lost its flair to me. It used to be something like you even had rappers talking about it in songs about All Star Weekend, and it just seems like nobody really watches it anymore. Um, the ratings have gone down throughout the years. I've seen people complain and say that we should just eliminate the dunk contest because every dunk's been done, or like you get all the high flyers like Zion and Ja, they don't want to do it. Um, for me personally, I saw something where someone said that All Star Weekend they should just get rid of the 3 point line, or for the All Star game, get rid of the 3 point line, and it would make it more entertaining in terms of like if you watch the All Star game, they said that 94% of shots were either dunks, layups, or threes. There was and no defense is being played because there was something of the sorts of back when the All Star game happened, there was big men in the paint and it forced you to shoot or you had to do something fancy near the rim. Whereas now everybody's on the 3 point line, so you either shoot a open or shoot a three or you just drive to the lane and there's nobody in the paint covering you. Um, in terms of the dunk contest, I don't. Mac McClung did a good job. He did a I've seen him dunk since high school, but they really had to pull someone out of the G League who could actually dunk to compete with these other NBA players. I mean, Trey Murphy was pretty good, but other than that, the other two sucked. Um, I've seen people say, let's put the 3 point contest as the main event, and I think that's what we should do at this point because the dunk contest is just, I mean, Jaw should be in the dunk contest. Anthony Edwards should be in the dunk contest, but there's no incentive for them. The only there there's just no incentive for anybody to do any of these events.
I feel like they should make it a team. Like they've been saying, make it a team concept on the dunk contest.
But they
Have
tried that. They tried it and it didn't work. Remember that one year they
they
did
haven't
it?
tried.
Yeah, they did. I
Yeah,
think it
they
was
did
with
it.
like
No, they just done it. All they've done it in is in the passing and the skills challenge, the dribbling skills. They haven't done it for the dunk contest. The dunk
I
contest.
remember when Ben McLemore jumped over Shaq in the throne. They had that was a team dunk contest.
I don't know. You're probably thinking that it was supposed to be a team, but it wasn't. And they always do it individual. All those players are all individual. They have them as they use player props to bring up like other teammates to be there, but they don't make it a
Right.
team. I feel like they have to make it a team effort. Like you get your three best dunkers from four teams in the league that you think or these guys are gonna be the and make it a team concept. Or like because you even say like when you say about Zion and Jaw, yeah, the reason they don't want to do it is because they don't want to get hurt.
Uh,
Come on, these
to
guys getting hurt doing
so
this.
so I
But
looked it
hold
up
on.
before you go, Amos. I just want to say one thing. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
It's an article and it says John Wall explaining the Team Freestyle 2014 dunk contest when him,
Right.
Terrence Ross, and PG won. So it was 2014 when they did a team style and nobody liked it.
Yeah, it was really stupid, but I thought it was like it was two or three members of the team, and they each got to dunk, and then the highest dunk went into the final.
And then they had
Wasn't it each one?
and then it was the individual from there, right? After.
Right, and then it was individuals there. I think they had 2 rounds of those guys dunk too, and so I do remember that. I do remember that, KJ. It was just one of those things where they were trying to make it more interesting, which it really wasn't because it actually went longer than it normally does too.
Yeah, they had Terrence Ross, John Wall, PG, Damian Lillard, um, Ben McLemore.
That's
I'm trying
right.
to.
It was Dame. That's right.
It was John Wall won it, but I'm trying to see all the people
Yeah.
that were in it. But yeah, they tried doing that, and it looked stupid. But I know what you mean, Efren. They need to do something to make it fun again.
Yeah, like I
Well,
said, you don't have the sorry. but you don't have like the old school rivalries like when you had Dominic Wilkins against Michael Jordan, when you had Muggsy Bogues. Where are those guys at in the league right now that we could say, man, these guys don't look, but they're there, you know. I think everybody took it as Vinsanity, you know.
And what it's the point, Efren, what's the last rivalry you'd say about the dunk contest? Who would be the last two you'd say that was most recent?
Aaron Gordon and
Levine.
they robbed Aaron Gordon.
Levine.
I robbed them, but
Levine. Yeah, for sure. It would be those two. And so to your point, it's you don't have those two guys that you're hyping it up. Those aren't, especially Aaron Gordon, those aren't necessarily arguably stars. So the better the player is, the more hyped up it will be. But the big thing is just the incentive. I think particularly this year, though, it was interesting because you had guys who knew that they had the spotlight on them, which normally they wouldn't. And it was kind of a situation that you could actually show your skills. And so it was kind of good to see, a D-leaguer go out there, a guy who's on a two-way contract, go out there and kind of just show out. And, it's crazy for being pretty small, a smaller guard. Not the smallest guard. I think he's 6'2", 6'3". Just to see his athleticism, it was wild. And a lot of these stars out there don't want to take the chance and fail on a big stage, unfortunately. But you have a guy like that who's in the G League, you got nothing to lose.
Well, and I know Efren's gonna love me saying this, but I've heard a lot of people say that LeBron kind of ruined the dunk contest because he won't do it. And because he won't do it, because he doesn't want to affect when in his early career, he didn't want to affect his shoe sales and all that stuff. It's let all these other high flyers like Ja, who just got a shoe deal, doesn't want to lose to somebody like Mac McClung because then it affects their endorsements and their sales, their merchandise, which I think is stupid, but that's just how, that's how they want to make their money.
And in that aspect, I understand what you're saying about LeBron, and I know he's looking out for himself in that situation about the shoe deal or whatever, but I don't even think it was just that. I believe when you're an upcoming star, Kobe did the dunk contest. Jordan did the dunk contest. As long as you win it once, cool, you're done. You don't have to worry about anything. But of course, like I said, you guys have said it, the NBA has changed a lot. Of course, we got other players trying to come up.
It's soft.
Very soft. But like I tell people, I go, like the dunk contest and everything, when I was a younger kid, man, the dunk contest coming out. Oh, the 3-point contest. Let's be honest. If you guys were on the court and you guys were with your friends, hey, let's have a 3-point contest. Let's see who can make the most threes. Or hey, let's see who can pony. When you used to play those type of games, let's make it more interesting for them to do that. But the thing is, the NBA also is not making it. How do I say? They're not trying for All-Star Week. It's like the NFL.
Yeah, they're not promoting it.
Yeah, they're not.
Can I tell you guys? I think for me personally, I know some guys will argue the year Aaron Gordon and Levine went at it, and I get it. That's fair. But to me, the year that really killed it, and I love this guy. But man, if you guys remember the year Nate Robinson had how many attempts? 10?
Right.
Just over and over and over and over.
I was thinking the same thing. Wasn't that the year that Howard won it?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because so Dwight Howard ran it in 2008, and then Nate Robinson won it the next 2 years, and then we had the Blake Griffin Kia over the car dunk.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So and then that's the thing. Let's also be real too. Size has always went against people too. So the smaller you are, it's always it looks a lot cooler. But Efren, I'll just say real quick. Efren, to your point though, it's unfortunate that for me, dunk contest that used to be so exciting. It's hard for me to sit down and actually watch a full event, especially with the commercials, with them panning the cameras out. To me nowadays, the shooting, the 3-point contest is more exciting, and it's never been super exciting, but you do see the best shooters out there. I feel like a lot of shooters don't mind getting it loose.
I will say that it was a good thing they changed it after last year. Jalen Green did his little NFT dunk where he missed 7 dunks in a row. They changed it this year to
right.
You only get 3 dunk attempts in your minute and a half, and if you don't get a third one done by that minute and a half, you get one last attempt.
Yeah.
But you were saying something, Alan. Oh, go ahead, Efren.
What I was going to say is, and more point to the whole All-Star Weekend. Just like you were saying about the All-Star game, It's the same thing. Like, honestly, what do you guys honestly watch the All-Star game for? I remember at least they would play defense in the fourth quarter because they had uh, an incentive of, oh, I gotta stop. We gotta stop these guys to make so much money. I I feel like they should do what baseball does in their All Star game. The winner gets home court advantage, or that's what baseball does. The winner of the All Star game gets the home field advantage in the World Series. So you have something to play for. That's the way I look at it. But then you can't do that either because the teams that the way they're doing the drafts now you don't even have a real draft. You got like if we're just playing a regular pickup game now. Oh yeah, I want to pick, and then you got guys that are picking up nothing but guards on one team, and then you have nothing but big men on another. So to me, the NBA All-Star game has gone.
It's getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, and it's not going to be the same. I hope it changes, but
They need
even
to
with
bring back the jerseys, like the team jerseys.
but then also
Yeah,
I like that
but
visually. Because you knew what team was represented. That's actually a good point, KJ. To me, it was three things I looked forward to. Efren's point that the best part was the fourth quarter. You knew at the fourth quarter it got really good, especially when Kobe was around. It got really intense in the fourth quarter. That was the best part. The second best part was watching your guys, being able to see your best players on your team play with the best stars and seeing how they compare, seeing if they can make shots against the best stars. And then third was really just seeing if who the head coach was going to play the most, who he would sit the most.
That's another thing. It's like the coach has like it's just a acknowledgement that you're the best coach in your conference. The coach doesn't do nothing but give everybody equal time nowadays.
but do you
Now,
see what the coach from from Denver said at the end of the game?
Yeah, he said it's like a waste of time or something.
Yeah, he even said, and he's
but if you
like,
guys remember, Popovich can I just say something? Popovich used to be known as just play. Remember, Popovich used to play mind games. Remember, he would play like the Lakers guys a lot of minutes. He'd want to play them up.
yeah, because he would use it because he would know they would be exhausted by the time they came back and they had to rest.
yeah.
And Kobe's like, I'll play. Hell yeah, I'm not saying no. Let me out there, coach.
But like I said, but to me, now the All-Star game, or to all of us, I hope even let's be honest, even if Zion did come back and do a dunk contest, they're only gonna do one, and then after that, we don't know who else is gonna do it. It's gonna go back to being so. To me, like I said, All-Star Weekend, yeah, it's good. I like the 3-point contest. I get excited for that. Dame time, congratulations to Dame time. But everything else, I think it's just like, I'm done with the All-Star Weekend for NBA for right now.
Alan, you said something to me the other earlier today about how you wish they would just bring like professional dunkers instead of having the NBA players do it.
Yeah, bring some of these kids out here that are doing these events outside of the NBA that are going to be, bring some creativity, bring some excitement to the game. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched it, I haven't seen it on television in quite a while, but they used to have that dunk league, and they would travel around the country and they'd have events, and they would rank these guys as far as one through whatever. And then they would go at it, and I mean, it was just crazy creativity. But
to that point, Alan, like when you initially said that, my first thought was, well, you'd have nothing but no names, and so it'd be kind of hard for people to really invest in and get into it. But I do think if they were elite dunkers the following year, the years to come, right? If they end up building up and end up becoming somebody, you now know them, then it gets exciting the following year, the year after, because now you're like, man, I didn't necessarily know this guy the first year. Now you end up creating these rivalries with the best dunkers in the world. So I could actually get on with that idea.
Or just do like a 4 NBA players versus 4 random professional dunkers, and then have them do dunks against each other.
But then to that point, KJ, how many NBA players are going to say, "Well, hold on, timeout"? Maybe a guy at the would do it, but if you're a star, perhaps you're really going to want to get. Are you going to want to lose to someone not in the NBA?
How about sorry for cutting you off, but how about you get 4 D leaguers, the G League, for the G League, players that are in the G League and make them go against the nobodies or whatever you guys want to call them. Gives opportunity to let the players from the G League to, show their their dribbling skills, their basketball skills.
No, I somewhat agree with what you said, Amos, and I like that. I like the G League thing would probably be fairly interesting because I think those guys are going to be looking for contracts. But I mean, think about what happened this past weekend. That kid Mac McClung just electrified that arena, and
Yes.
nobody knew him. Nobody knew him. I mean, we probably had heard a little bit about him, and some of us might have even seen him, but he was a nobody, and he set that arena on fire.
The funny thing is
And
that is true. That is
so I
true.
think that I don't think that because, and this is what I was going to say to start off with, is that All-Star Weekend has become a social media event. It's all about the money now. It's all about the exposure. It's not about the game. It's not about the events that take place in the 2 days prior to the game. It's about who's there, who you can get snapped up with, who is doing what as far as what they're wearing, what where they're going and stuff like that. It's not about the actual event anymore. So I think that
Because wasn't last
that
year they had a bunch of TikTok stars or something?
yeah,
The year
yeah,
before
they
they just
played in
had
the
NBA players doing TikToks.
right, right. So I think that as far as the dunk contest goes, that would actually probably bring a little more excitement to the game, to that part of the weekend. But I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't really watched an All-Star game in probably, I'm gonna say since the '90s, since the late '90s. To be
I feel
honest with
like
you,
they should
you
take
know,
they should sorry. I feel like they should take what they do in other All Star games, like what they do in the NHL, what they do in baseball.
yeah, yeah, the
Those
NHL is exciting as heck. And I kind of like the concept that they brought forward this year with the playing it, winning the quarters and having to score so many points to end the game. That was actually kind of interesting.
They did
But
that.
like KJ was
yeah, for
saying, they don't play defense no more, and it's all about the 3-point shot. And I think, if they were to eliminate something like that, it might make the game a little interesting, and they'd have to play defense.
Yeah, I think they implemented that rule when Kobe passed away that year or the year after maybe. But when Kobe passed away, they made it so now you have the 4 quarters. You start over every quarter, but your points are still tallied for
But
all
it's
3 quarters.
accumulated, yeah, each
And
each
then
quarter, yeah.
and then in the fourth quarter, whatever the top team has, they have to score 24, and that's the target goal. So if you're behind by 30, you got to score 54 points.
Right,
Um,
and that goes to show you that I haven't watched the game because I didn't know that they were doing that. I thought this was the first year that they had done that.
no,
And
So
going back to what you guys were saying about the dunk contest and the rivalries. I mean, this is going to date me a little bit, but I remember the first dunk contest that Dr. J won.
Artist Gilmore,
And
all of them.
yeah, and he just made all of them look silly because he went against a bunch of big guys. I want to say.
Well, no, I think it was Artist Gilmore. It was Dr. J. I want to say
Who's the guy that played on his team? Who played on the Sixers team with him? The big guy, Doctor, or they called him
Moses.
no, not Moses. It was before Moses. This was in the '70s. I want to say
Okay.
it was like '77. It was before Moses came, but there was he had a Chocolate Thunder. What was his name?
Nate
Oh,
Thurman.
Dawkins.
No, not Nate Thurman. He
Oh no,
played. They played together on Philadelphia.
It was
Dawkins.
Dawkins. I don't know his
Yeah,
first
Daryl
name.
Dawkins. Daryl Dawkins was in that. It was. You're right. Artist Gilmore was there. It was Dr. J. I want to say even the shooter from San Antonio.
George Gervin,
Uh,
Iceman. Wasn't
yeah,
he in it?
Iceman Gervin
No.
was in it too.
Let's see. So there was 8 people, I believe.
And so, even that was even that was exciting because we had never seen it before. But as it progressed, like you guys were saying, there were more There were more rivalries. There were, guys were going against, each other because they wanted to dominate and they want to be known as the best of what they were doing at that time. Like in the 3-point contest, that's kind of carried on since they started it. You've got guys that are looking to prove that they're the best shooters in the league. You don't have that anymore as far as that mentality like Kobe brought to the dunk contest. You know what? If you're going to step on this court with me, I'm going to walk all over you. I'm going to make you look stupid. And you don't
So
have that.
Sorry, Amos, this is just my last point. So the 5 competitors were Artis Gilmore, George Gervin, Larry Keenan, David
Larry Keenan, that's right. He went to school with Magic at Michigan State.
David Thompson, and Dr. J. But what were
And
you gonna
Dr.
say?
J.
What were you gonna say, Amos?
no, no, I was gonna say. So I mean, and you go back to the '90s, Alan. And for me, I remember the '90s being so fun. I was really young then. If you remember though, in the '90s, it was really ran by the East though. If you remember, the East had that
Oh
long.
yeah. Yeah, it was definitely run by the East. I think it's actually been dominated by the East overall since it started, to be honest
Well,
with
it
you.
was the West
Because I
for
mean,
like
look at
the
Larry
90s.
Nance, Dr. J,
Right.
Jordan,
But I want to say
Jordan,
that.
Bird.
But I want to
Dominique.
But that was the longest streak, though. I'm saying, and I think that probably affected. I could be wrong, but I think that probably affected the overall. I guess just the unbalance, But I think that was the longest streak, though. I just remember the East. What was it, like 10, 12 years? It was a long time.
It might have been.
It was like 8 to 12, something like that. Yeah.
It might have been, but I think that those guys were bringing it. They were bringing it until Kobe actually did it the first time.
Yeah,
But
I
then
mean,
now it's separated. Like you get all these people. Like you got the draft, so you got East and
Selection.
West players on different sides.
how do you?
Yeah.
For me, I've never been able to keep up with that. You can keep up with East, you can keep up with West. I can't keep up with who gets drafted.
Well, they
Yeah.
used to have like a little draft where they would do like a little 30-minute segment the day before or something. But then this year, I guess they did it like a playground, like Efren said, where it was like pickup style. Um, but yeah, back to what you guys were saying. Yeah, the East has dominated the All Star game, 37-29.
Well, and that's kind of what the All-Star game has become, though. The game is actually, it reminds me of the Rucker Park tournament.
Hey,
Those
Rucker
guys
Park
ain't,
tournament
those guys
is
ain't out there to
competitive,
play
though.
ball. They're out there to make people look silly and score as many points as they can,
But people play defense. There's ankle breakers. There's no ankle breaker in the All Star game because nobody's playing defense.
No, but
Yeah, but they don't really play much defense, though, KJ. I don't know if you really watched it. I don't know if you really watched any of that. They don't really play defense. It's more of a show.
guys, how about this? What if we turn the All-Star game, instead of an All-Star game, to that point into like a little 3-on-3 type of tournament? Okay, so if you had that,
one-on-ones.
see, one-on-ones would be dope. We'd love that. We would love that, but I don't know if players would love that. Now it's like you got.
I don't think they would go for it because they would be risking injury.
Yeah, risk of injury for sure, and you would get physical, and they would get so mad. They get so mad at the referees. They get so mad at the refs calling it. So for me, it's just like you do a 3-on-3 tournament. Now all of a sudden, players aren't playing consistent minutes. You're having plenty of breaks. 3-on-3, you can't hide in 3-on-3, okay? And now you have 2 other guys who are relying on you to make money at the end of the tournament. So I would like that. I think 2-on-2 would be cool too, but I think 2-on-2 would probably just be closer to 1-on-1, where it's a lot more physical. Where 3-on-3,
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. I think they should actually set it up more like the NHL does their All-Star game and break it into the divisions. You have each division, and then you play against the other divisions. And as you win, the top 2 divisions will go against each other in the final quarter, and whoever wins that is actually the champion or the winner of the All-Star game. That would actually be pretty cool.
No, I would love that. That would be great. So, I mean, yeah, I would love that basically. So, I think you could maybe get the players to be on board with that. I think the fans would love it. I would love it because again, 3-on-3, you're as close as it's mano a mano. You don't there's not as much help defense, and like we said before, you don't have a lot of bigs out there, so you have a lot of space guys. You have a lot of shooters out there. So
would you make it a half court game then?
Yeah, you'd be. Oh, for sure. 3-on-3 would be a half court game.
Okay. Yeah. So in the NHL they do 3-on-3 and it's a full ice.
I
event.
think, I think it's just a little different in age. I think that would be
Yeah,
awkward.
you'd have to, or maybe even shorten the court, maybe
Yeah,
What do you think,
if
Efren?
you
What were you
wanted
saying?
if you wanted to make them run.
I honestly, I think that would be a great thing. You guys, that's a great point that Amos made. I think it will make it a lot more fun, a lot more competitive. Um, or you could do 3-on-3 or if you do 2-on-2 tournament before, because you know how we have that the whole 4 days before. Just make it like a big thing about each team in the conference. Like you said, get your best
Yeah,
players from the conference, and hey, let's go 3-on-3. These are
you
the
know, and
bond.
the thing about that is you could actually probably bring back some of the retired guys that are still able to play, and they could actually jump in, and represent too. You could have like a legends division or something like that.
True.
NBA standing. Where do you guys think that everybody's going to finish at the end of the year? You can go ahead first, Amos.
I just think Nikola Jokic, he's just playing so good right now, and he's just been consistent. And I think he's just continually carrying the Nuggets, and they're just such a hard team to beat at home. And they're really one of the few teams that haven't made a big time trade, right? So they're so familiar with each other's games. They have the chemistry already. They're not having to get all these pieces together. I think I said it last week or 2 weeks ago. I believe it was last week though. The Suns, just from a talent perspective, how do you get better than the Suns? How do you get better than the Suns? I don't know if you can. And so for me, just generally saying, I'll just say, as of right now, the West, I see the Nuggets still leading the pack. The Mavericks are going to be an interesting case as far as meshing those two guards together. And obviously, everyone always watching the Lakers. It's going to be fascinating to see if AD can stay healthy. And AD's been playing really good, especially when you look at his efficiency stats when he's healthy this season. And so it's just going to be interesting to see if the Lakers can climb and be back into the playoffs, because I know LeBron cannot have another year of being playoffless. I know Efren would love that, but that's just my thoughts in the West.
Is there any matchups you'd like to see in the playoffs in the West,
In the West, yes, oh for sure.
even if it's
Well,
first round?
yeah, that's fair. So for example, first round, I think it's so interesting because you have teams like the Warriors. And I don't have your graphics of the standings in front of me right now, but you have the Warriors, you have the Lakers, right? You have star power, you have guys who've been there, done it before, who have advanced. You have guys like that who could potentially go against a Denver Nuggets squad, who's been so consistent, but now all of a sudden they haven't really had a lot of success in the playoffs. And so, I would love to see a matchup like that. And, Cage, I know you realize Joe Kick's talent. You know it, you do, but I know you haven't been basically been kind of a doubter just because of his lack of playoff success.
Yeah.
And I think I would be fascinated to see that, because you have Braun and trying to carry that Laker team through playoff success, and then you have someone like you who you know how talented he is, but you also rightly know he's kind of struggled too. So I think it's kind of prove it season. So I would love to see that matchup, the Nuggets versus the Lakers, in the first round.
And then for the East,
In the East, I would just say, I gotta still go with the Celtics. I know they've kind of been a little bit up and down recently, but I just think the Celtics are just so far and away as far as being a two-way team. Defensively, they are the best team. But I will say, Cleveland Cavaliers, man, are kind of starting to scare me a little bit if you are a Celtic fan. Yeah. I mean, they've always been really talented. We knew this, but I did read a stat a few days ago, and it's literally the Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I can't give you the exact, don't quote me on the stat, but basically it was like an offensive efficiency stat. And both teams had the highest rating in the last like 5 or 10 years, basically. So that shows you how good, it might have been defensively, actually, now that I think about it, because obviously the Celtics are elite defensively. So it shows you how elite these two teams are playing right now. And so honestly, I was a little skeptical because, they have a lot of inexperience. Donovan Mitchell's been there, but they haven't played together in the playoffs. So I'm riding with the Celtics, but man, give me that matchup right now. Those two teams, I'm happy.
Efren, what you think? What do you want to see?
Well, you know, I'm still saying this. My matchup I would want to see is LeBron against him sitting at home on his couch because we know they got too much hype in him. I don't care who he traded for. That guy's been trying to be in the play-in every year since he got to the Lakers, I think. But honestly, a good matchup I would want to see is, you know, I know I was talking about Dallas and Phoenix. But what about, honestly, Denver? I watched Denver play last night against Cleveland. And man, those guys can beat down by 10, 15 points and can make runs. Michael Porter Jr. playing lights out. But I don't see nobody beating that Phoenix team. I want to know how they match up with that Phoenix team uh, now that they have somebody that it don't matter if there's only 2 minutes left in the game, he could take over and do what he has to do to win a game. You understand what I'm saying? In that situation, Kevin Durant is gonna make a big piece, even though we haven't watched him yet. But he proved it in Golden State, and I think he proves it again in Phoenix. And that would be a matchup that I would want to see Denver and Phoenix in the conference finals now. And in the East, just like we were talking about earlier, Boston and Cleveland, great matchup, back and forth. Amos did have a point about them gelling together, but at the same time, the main thing right there is if Boston has a healthy Robert Williams, nobody's beating Boston in the East. But Robert Williams makes a big difference. Even with the new players that they put in,
Not even Milwaukee.
Not even Milwaukee. Robert Williams makes a big difference. A big difference.
So if I could jump in there too, and you asked me about the East, I didn't mention the Bucks. I mean, they're top 3 in the East for sure. I might even have them ahead of Cleveland. I mean, I think I probably had them ahead of Cleveland, but just from an efficiency standpoint, I got to give Cleveland their respect. As far as the Bucks, though, I do agree with you, Efren, man. And you know me, I've been right on with the Bucks the last couple of years. We've seen that matchup, and I just think the Celtics just defensively, and the Bucks are really good defensively, but the Celtics just match up really well with the Bucks, and so I just think I agree. I would have to go with the Celtics. But back to the West real quick. I did say I want to see the Nuggets and Lakers as far as the matchup I want to see, but it certainly wasn't my finals prediction. So I just want to be clear. I'm not predicting.
Yeah. No, these are. We already did our finals predictions 2 weeks ago. This is just matchups you'd like to see.
No, for sure. I thought you would ask after that, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting, All right.
Like I was telling you, Amos, you're like you've been rocking with Milwaukee. I just feel now with the injury to Giannis's hand, how long is it going to take to heal? You heard it right before All-Star break.
I think he's in. I just got a notification.
And he heard it again at the All-Star game.
It says he just played today. It says Giannis spin through the lane with a sweet layup. So he's playing.
He's playing right now.
That's dumb.
They're on ESPN, bro.
He shouldn't be playing.
He shouldn't be. Yeah.
That injury that he has, just wait. Somebody either in the playoffs, somebody's gonna hit him right before that. It's gonna hurt him. And I know he's a great player, but trust me, you could tell that hand was hurting him at the All-Star game. That hand was hurting him before the All-Star game when he got hurt against the Bulls. Just wait. Like, I don't know why he's playing right now.
Well, let me just jump back in real quick. And Alan, I want to give you a chance to talk because I want to hear from you. But I'll just say this last point too, going to the West. I do think, and maybe this is a bad example, but I do think the Suns, like we all agree, the Suns, just from talent perspective, are that team in the West. And if you match them up versus the Nuggets have the chemistry. The Nuggets have the team. They are the best team right now. And so would it be a decent example to compare it almost to a situation a couple years back to the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Brooklyn Nets, right? Remember when the Nets, they had got James Harden, Kyrie, KD. They were stupid talented, right? But they hadn't played together a ton, right? And so a lot of people thought, oh man, the Nets are going to go into the playoffs. They're going to beat a team like the Bucks, who had been at the time, if you guys remember, the Bucks were kind of a disappointment. And so I kind of see the parallels between that series and then potentially the Suns versus Nuggets, where people are probably going to be picking the Suns, but I could see the Nuggets with that home advantage, and with the Suns not playing together fully just yet, and still kind of working the kinks. Do you guys see the parallels, or am I off base with kind of those with that example?
You got it, Alan.
Look at me. Hold on, guys. Remember you're talking about that? That's how far away the Nets were for beating the Bucks that year. That inch, that big
Right.
foot. And you got to remember that. It don't matter. That talent that was on that team, if he hits that shot, the Nuggets are going to the finals. And
Well, they got hurt too, Efren. Remember, they also got hurt too, right?
Yeah.
So, and so we for sure, and so maybe that example is off base, but I guess I just look at it from a standpoint of the Suns. They're pretty average. What KJ? What are the Suns right now? +4 in the standings, and I want to say the Nets, when they had got all those pieces, they were.
The Suns are +4.
So I just look at it from the standpoint of when I think it just seems like as of now, obviously the Nets they had the team a little longer, obviously, right? Where I just think it's going to take the Suns, who just got KD, who's getting healthy too. I just see it taking a second maybe to gel fully, you know. But from a talent perspective, man, like you can't beat the Suns. Alan, what do you think, Alan?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to take the Suns less time to gel than it did the Nets because of the fact that they got one guy that is going to probably be the key factor in that whole situation, and that's Chris Paul. He's the guy that's going to run that team. He's the guy that's going to make everybody happy. Whereas Kyrie, I mean, he's a great talent, but he just is all over the place with his game. You don't know if he wants to have the ball or he wants to give the ball away, and Chris is going to be.
James Harden was the point guard with that.
Yeah, you're right. And James Harden was a point guard, but he couldn't even make it work, right?
Well, they made
he couldn't even make it work.
In a season and a half, or the one season they were together, they only played 11 games together too.
Right.
In game one,
he got hurt, but you got to remember, Efren, he didn't play good until he didn't even play good last year in Philly. So I don't think James Harden comes back. I think they lose to the Suns if they go to the finals that year. Because James Harden still wasn't himself for a year and a half. He just became James Harden again this year.
I'm not talking about them winning the finals that year after that. I was just saying they were going to beat the Bucks. They were just, and that's the way I was looking at it. I honestly remember I had the Suns going all the way that year. I thought they were going to take it off. And then Giannis and them after they beat, of course, it was a big momentum when they beat the Nets. But that's when and Amos called it. Amos had the Bucks going all the way and winning it. But I think that's the chemistry that they got after that battle with the Nets. That, that's what, got them there. But now, like I said, I just don't see that. Like, Milwaukee is a great team. But you guys have said it. You guys, let Giannis score all his points. He wants to score. You take Drew Holiday out of Middleton, they're done. And Boston can do that. I want to see if Milwaukee can take out. Look at all the players that Milwaukee has to take out for the Celtics not to be able to score points. Now, Bogdan is a good point guard. Another one, Marcus Smart.
Well, like you said, Brogdon's the key to.
Yeah, but Smart's not a scorer though, bro. He's a defender and a facilitator at best.
But the thing is, Marcus Smart can score in certain times. Like if he has, because before that's how they were winning the games last year. Marcus Smart was having great games during the playoffs. Even though he was playing defense good, he was still scoring 20-something points. So,
did he average that much?
I think he averaged like 15 to 18. But like what you said,
I was going to say it was more like 13 to 16, something like that.
The reason why the Celtics sucked last year in the finals was because of Brogdon. Kind of to Alan's point, Chris Paul is going to be the person who leads. Like I said before, he's going to be the reason they either make it to the finals and win or don't make it.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And so, to get back to that, I guess I'll just stay in the West real quick, okay? So for me, I really like Denver, and they showed something last night against Cleveland. I'm just like, wow, they walked right in there and they owned that arena. I mean, from the tip off until the final buzzer, they owned that arena. And Michael Porter, if they could get that kind of production out of him the rest of the year, that team is probably going to end up with the best record in the league. Because I don't see anybody really beating them. But that's the regular season. Are they going to be able to mirror that in the postseason. Okay, so I really like that. The matchup that I would like to see in the West, and I don't care if it's an early round or mid round, but I would really be interested to see the Clippers and the Suns face off, because I think they have, other than a true big man or a dominant big man, the Clippers match up. They can match up with Durant and the other kid. What's his name?
Devin Booker.
Oh, Booker.
Booker, Devin Booker. Yeah, they can match up, and I mean, and that puts a lot of pressure on Chris Paul to score then, or Ayton to try to dominate the key.
And he
I would
can't
really
have
like to
those
see that matchup.
he can't have those 10-6 games against them either. He's going to have to be
No,
20-12.
absolutely. I think that would be an incredible matchup in the early rounds, or like in the first or the second round. That would be an incredible matchup. But because I want to see if Kawhi still has something in the tank, and that would be the perfect opportunity for him if he could shut down Durant. Man, he would solidify his legacy.
Top 3 defender all time.
Yeah, all time. And then the team that
Better than
really kind of
Scotty.
intrigues me, and you're probably going to laugh about this, but I think that they're just they're kind of like Kansas City, the Chiefs in football. They kind of just under the radar. Nobody's really paying attention. I mean, they're talking about their first playoff appearance in 30 years, but the Kings they might actually surprise some people.
Like the
They might
pig.
actually surprise some people.
Alan,
I just
Alan, where are you from, Alan?
I'm from Sacramento.
Like the pig.
Okay,
Like
I'm
the
from
pig.
Sacramento, and I've never, since I left, I've never really rooted for them. And I'm not saying that I'm pulling for them, but I just think that they're interesting because they've got a lot of pieces on that team, a
They
lot of
do.
pieces.
And
Even
I'm
though they've
defensive.
traded a lot of guys, They
Right.
they they could surprise somebody in the first round. Think about this: if Golden State is able to creep down into the 7-6 spot, they could match up with they could see themselves going to Sacramento to play in the first round, and that would be a major upset.
Hey, Efren, before you say that, Efren, you were right. It says Giannis just hurt his knee against the Heat, and he's out for the rest of
Hurt
the
his
game.
knee.
Yes.
Damn.
And then for me, like I tell you, what we're talking about right now, and that's Sacramento. Man, they have a lot of great pieces. I've been watching them play. I went to a couple of home games last year. Shout out to some of the subscribers that are Sacramento fans. But just know that team, if whoever they match up with, they can score points. They're gonna go, and that's gonna be you need a good defense to stop that Kings team. Because I've been watching them play. Man, they can light up the scoreboard. Yesterday, they put 131 on Portland.
Yeah.
Of course,
And
Portland
lost, didn't they? And they lost.
No, Portland
Did they
won.
pull it out? Did they pull it
Portland
out?
lost. Portland lost.
Okay.
Let me see.
Okay.
He's won. But they played against the Lakers this year. They played against Golden State, and they beat Golden State and put up a lot. So
I know. That's what I'm saying. They've kind of gone under the radar. I mean, everybody's talking about them making the playoffs for the first time in a long time, but they're definitely a quality team. I still think that Denver is head and shoulders above everybody until we see what Phoenix is going to do. I mean, you got to remember, Durant hasn't stepped on the court yet. We don't know what's going to happen once that takes place. So, if it works out the way I think everybody kind of sees it, envisions it working out, it's going to be really, really tough to beat that team. But I'm not gonna. It's like when we did our predictions. It's hard for me. I want to say them, but I'm not sure that they're going to be there at the end. To be honest with you.
Just say it one time for your Sacramento people. Light the beam, baby. Light the.
What were you gonna say, Amos?
No, so I was going to ask Efren, who has the longest streak in sports without a playoff appearance currently? Is it the Kings or is it the Browns? I'm trying to think myself. I'm spacing. It's
No,
one of
the
the
Browns went to the
Browns
playoffs
made it with
3 years ago.
With Baker Mayfield, they beat the Steelers.
So then,
Yeah.
that's right. That's the one. Okay, yep. So that's
Yeah.
the Kings. So the Kings have the longest streak then currently
Yeah.
in the four. Yep.
because
They do.
the Mariners finally made the playoffs. That's why.
You know what? I wasn't gonna. I was honestly gonna let that slide.
Hey, Amos, don't be ashamed of nothing. Your team is going to be a team to reckon with for the next decade, bro.
Oh, I agree.
Anyways,
I
Alan,
The
I'm gonna need
next
you to get to
decade,
the
bro.
Alan. I'm
You
gonna
guys are
They're
need you
going
to
to
get
be a
to your
team to reckon
Eastern.
with for the next decade.
I'm gonna
And you
need you to
think
get to
about
your
this:
Eastern
if
Conference
they
teams.
can pick up another bat to go
right.
along with
I agree.
Rodriguez. Oh my God, that team is going to be
Right.
unreal.
Despite that little, despite that little
We're not talking
chihuahua in the
about
air right now.
baseball. We're not talking about baseball. Let's get back on track to where we were. All right.
Yeah, Alan. So now you're
Okay.
doing the Eastern Conference.
So on the east side, I agree with you guys. You E and Amos. Boston is head and shoulders above everybody. I think the reason that Giannis was playing tonight is that they're so close to overtaking Boston. They want that home court advantage, and that's why he's playing. And myself personally, he's a throwback to the '90s and the Jordan era. He's a guy that's going to play whether he's hurt or not. He's not one of these dudes that wants to be managed and set. He wants to be on the court because he knows how vital he is to his team. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's unfortunate.
but that was going to hurt him because he knew he was going in with this injury. The thing is, it's going into this injury, having this injury, and playing like that, and sitting out just to rest. Giannis has a real injury that they're going to need him in the playoffs more than they need him for home court advantage.
Yeah,
You
but
all you need to
did
do
you
is
hear what
win
he
one game.
said? It wasn't his hand, it was his knee. So, we don't know how bad his wrist was hurt. Now it's a matter of figuring out how bad his knee is hurt, you know. But I still got to give it to him because he wants to be on the court and he's thinking about that home court advantage. He's thinking about that number 1 seed in the West.
But
Now
I
you
just
guys
think
know that I was picking Milwaukee to represent, but if he can't go, then that puts them way down on the bottom of the list. So I would have to say, Boston is probably going to take that now. But I'll tell you, there's a couple of matchups that I think would be kind of interesting. New York, the Knicks, despite the fact that they've been so horrible for the longest time, I would like to see them go up against Philadelphia. I think that they would actually probably match up pretty good, and it probably would be a good 6-7 game series if they did play. Again, I think Cleveland, along with Boston, has been the most consistent team all year, and even more so than Boston, I think, because they have had, I think their longest losing streak was 4 games. Is it 4 games? What is it?
I don't know for sure.
But I think they've got the least amount as far as games lost in a row of any team in the East, and so they've played consistently all year long, and they have no experience in the playoffs, but they do have some pieces that really work. They got a 1, they got a 2, and I think they even have a 3. I think is he a rookie this year or was he a rookie last year? The kid from Purdue.
No, he's a rookie this year.
He's a rookie this year. I think that if he can step his game up.
Kid from
Evan Mobley.
Oh no, he's a sophomore. He was a rookie last year.
oh,
He
you're
was a
talking
rookie
about
last year. Okay.
yeah.
I think if he can step his game up, that team could make some noise. They could definitely make some noise. And and Philadelphia played last night, and they were getting their butt kicked in the first half, and they came back and won that game. And I'm telling you, they're going to go on a run too, because that's just what they do. Doc is going to have that team, firing, until the play. They're going to go to sleep, and they're probably going to get knocked off in the first or the second round.
I think
Honestly,
and I don't want to. I'm going to predict it here right now. I know we were saying the Boston, Milwaukee. Honestly, I think it's Philadelphia goes 4 for 4, making the championship game, and loses it in the finals.
Hey, I picked Philly to go to the finals. Don't be taking my shit. You were Cleveland. You were Cleveland with Allen 2 weeks ago.
Hey, I know, but the thing is, I feel like Philly's gonna go and just lose again, and that's
Well, I
gonna be.
didn't pick
Well,
them to
they've never
win
made
it.
it.
I just
They've
picked
never
them to
made
be
it.
in the final. I
No, they're
didn't
not
pick them to
gonna
win
be.
it. I just picked them to be in the final. I actually had Milwaukee coming out of the East. Remember?
Well, I'm I'm
So
gonna
why
do
don't you go ahead? Why don't you go ahead, KJ, and you can break yours down now.
for me. I'm gonna go my my Western Conference. I got a lot of matchups I want to see. I want to see the number one. Well, let's go back to Durant and versus the Nuggets. The Nuggets right now are ranked the second best in terms of defensive rating. So I didn't know that. So I think they could possibly handle Durant. It's just offensively, can they get there? I don't. Like I said, I don't believe in Jokic in the playoffs, and I haven't seen much from anybody else on that team that can show me that when it comes to like what Efren said, when it come or Allen, um, when it comes down to that last 2 minutes, do they have somebody that can score besides Jokic? They don't. I mean, I haven't seen anything on that team. But if I'm going to who I want to see play, I want to see the Suns play the Pelicans. I want that rematch from last year. Last year it was great. Pelicans barely made it from what? They barely made it out to play in, and then they took it to what, 6 games or something without Zion.
Yeah.
They took it to 7. Oh yeah, they did. And that was when I was like, oh yeah, the Suns are not making the finals. But I really want to see that matchup. I want to see Zion versus Durant. I want to see Jose Alvarado versus Chris Paul again. I want to see if DeAndre Ayton could. I don't know who's better, honestly, DeAndre Ayton or Jonas Valanciunas at this point, because DeAndre Ayton's motor is just too low. And then who else I got? I want to see the Grizzlies versus the Warriors if they can make it. If not, I want to see them play the Timberwolves again. Because, I mean, if you guys don't remember, the Timberwolves were up every game in that series last year and just couldn't finish it. Now they have a veteran point guard in Mike Conley. I don't think he's better than D'Lo, but he's more accustomed to playoffs success when he was with Memphis. And I mean, I'm not saying they have the same personnel or anything, but he's played in Memphis. He knows the crowd. He's accustomed to that atmosphere. Plus, I don't believe in Memphis. And then
KJ,
huh.
if I can jump in for 2 seconds, real quick, to play devil's advocate, and this is just me asking you a question. So you say you don't have huge confidence in the Nuggets offense in a playoff series per se. Is it more in general, which I assume is kind of the case, or against the Suns? Because I guess my thinking, again, just more just play devil's advocate. While I do agree, I think a lot of people would be concerned as far as who is going to be that elite shooter next to the Joker. When you look at the Suns, they don't really have a lot of good defenders currently. Their defense is a lot to be desired. So I could see
It's more of
the
an
Suns.
all around
Okay.
all around defense. But for me, yeah, it's somewhat general offense, but against the Suns you have all that offense there, especially if DeAndre Ayton is playing good and Damian Lee is hitting threes. I don't know if they can outplay everybody on the Suns. That's what I meant.
I'd love to see Aiden's stat. I don't know this. I'd love to see Aiden's stats versus Jokic because I could just see him. Because, like you said, he's really inconsistent. And I could just see him kind of struggling because I know he's not. When you're playing the Joker, you're moving constantly. He's the main focus of offense. So Aiden's not going to be able to sit back on defense, right?
Yeah.
So I would know his standard stats.
He
His average.
averages 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 1 steal in his 10 games versus Jokic in his career.
Okay,
So 20
so
and
then
12. Like I said, that's what he needs to be
yeah,
if they want to beat him.
facts.
And then my last one that I want to see in the West, I mean, I want to see Sacramento versus the Lakers. I think that's a great rivalry that we haven't seen since 2001, and I want to see LeBron, and I really like De'Aaron Fox. I liked him more than Lonzo Ball coming out of
Yeah.
college. I think he's a great
Yes.
point guard. I don't know if top 10 I'd have to go through, but I think he could definitely fit in for top 10 point guard.
Bullcrap.
Huh? Booker. And then in the East, I'd like to see the two New York teams play. I think they're about comparable in terms of talent wise. I think New York may have a better top better starting lineup, but I think the um, Nets are all well rounded. And then the other matchup I want to see is the Heat versus either the Bucks or the Celtics because I think we could beat them. I'm tired of both those teams.
The surprise team on the East, the Chicago Bulls.
The Chicago Bulls are the 11th seed. You're not even a playing team. I don't want to hear it. You're a Wembenyama series. That's what you're trying to win. But yeah, like I
Oh,
said, I got the Sixers winning.
BS.
I got the Sixers winning the East, and like I said, I think I got the Grizzlies winning. I don't have confidence in them, but I think they're the most capable and they have the most they have more playoff success than the Nuggets. And I mean unless the Suns gel perfectly in these next 23 games and going into the playoffs, I think the Grizzlies are the favorite besides the Nuggets.
Can I just say something real quick too? I think I might have had the Bucks losing to the Celtics too in my Eastern Finals. But man, just being honest with you guys, with all these injuries, when you really think about the Bucks, if you go back to the championship years, I mean, Efren, you said it best. I mean, everyone knows this. Literally, KD was what 2 inches away from literally winning the series, and so not to mention like they won some close ass games, and Drew Holiday, he played his ass off, right? And
Wasn't
as you guys,
Middleton hurt? They missed
in
Middleton last year against the Celtics.
no, yeah, last year, right. But I'm speaking for the championship year. So the championship year, I just thought they played above themselves because Middleton was hitting those clutch shots. Drew Holiday, he wasn't just that defensive guy who gave you just enough offense, right? He was having some big time performances as well. And so I just feel like now, 2 years later, to your point, KJ Middleton, he's been kind of he's dealt with some injuries as well as this year. Giannis is banged up. Drew Holiday is what 2 years older. I want to say he's about 32. And then they just aren't as deep as they were. And so I just feel like the Bucks are good because of their talent and because of their star power. But I just feel like not that they're getting
The
worse,
Celtics
but
are younger, pretty much.
and when you're playing every 2 days, 3 days, that matters, especially when you're hurt and broke down. So I'm just not very confident in Milwaukee at all going forward, especially now that we're finding out Giannis is hurt. And I just think the Celtics and the Cavs, but the Cavs for me, I can't jump them up past the Celtics just yet. Just not yet. I won't do it.
So, in terms of your top 5 players in the league, who do you got, Efren?
Right now in the league,
Yeah.
top five.
If there's
You
no
think-
LeBron on your team, I will
Yeah.
hurt you.
Oh, then
You
the
know
Bucks-
that's going to
then the
happen.
Bucks is
Do
out.
you want to do top 5 or top 10?
I'm going to do top five because the bum's out, bro. I don't even.
Just the top.
Bro. That guy's
All right, top
already.
5.
That guy's already in that. That guy already has a stretcher. Because
Well, there better not be any Bulls on that either.
I better not hear no DeRozan.
Trust me. Trust me, it's not. I gotta go with Luca. Luca's one, of course. It's the baddest white boy I've seen since Larry Bird, and I didn't even see Larry Bird that much. But Luca, he's a baller, bro. Luca, he can do things that, man, I wish I could do on the court, and makes it look easy. Second, I gotta go with
Hey,
Tatum.
don't make that face, Amos. It's because he moves like Luca.
I gotta go with Tatum. That kid can ball. Tatum is a baller. He can do a lot of big things. He's one of the guys that I think can make a good rivalry against anybody he plays against. And he has that Jordan and Kobe mentality that he just wants to win and he just wants the title. And I think he can get one too. My third, I'm gonna have to go with Jaw. Jaw is he's my third. Yeah, Alan, you're hearing that right.
I'm surprised that he's even in your top 5, dude. To be honest with you.
Yeah, me
He
too.
reminds me of a young Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose didn't act like he was from the hood.
Yeah.
He was from the hood.
Yes, he was. But Ja can do a lot that other players can't. I just don't think he can do what Tatum and Luka do. And number 4, I gotta go with the 2 big men, man. I gotta go with Embiid and Jokic, 4 and 5.
Who you got
Who?
four? Who you got at 4?
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a tie for both of them. I can put them either 4 or 5. I don't want to
Who besides Jokic?
You said Jokic and Embiid.
Embiid. Okay.
Yeah,
You could, I'll let you put them both at 4 since you said they're tied. So who would you put 5th?
and bring into the 5th. That's a hard one. Gotta go Dame time, baby.
Damn time. Okay.
Dame
You don't think
time.
Giannis is top 5?
No.
Oh wow. I'm
I
surprised.
feel like Efren's been low key, and Efren, and you won't even argue this, Efren. I feel like Efren has been
Trolling us.
not a hater. No, but I'm not gonna say he's a hater, but like Efren has wrongly been, I guess, just not as appreciative as Giannis. Going because you have to remember this, going back to us like
But
2
he
years.
does that with everybody, though, bro. He does that with everybody that he don't have no or a dislike for, no respect for.
What are they proving to me? 4 points that he can't win a championship by himself.
But Efren,
But he
hold
did,
on.
bro.
He did, and Efren, you were so
But he
worried
already
about.
did.
And KJ remembers this. You
Steven Holiday. How's that by himself?
Hey, I just want to say this before. So he said
no one does it
Luca.
by themselves.
He said Luca's the baddest white boy since Larry Bird. Then he said Tatum because he's got a Jordan mentality. That's a Chicago tie. Then he said Ja because he plays like another Chicago player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chicago in the house all the time, baby.
Anyways, so you said Luca, Tatum, Ja, the big men tied, and then Dame time. Okay.
Yeah.
What
I
do you?
like Steph. Hold on. Don't nothing about Steph. Steph is a great player. Amos, nothing to get like. I always have this argument. No, he's not top 5 of all time yet. Yeah, he's a great scorer. Everything, and we always talk about this. Remember, and then there's other players out there, but I just feel like the guys that I mentioned right now, these guys are that right now at the NBA. They're the future. Let's be honest. Steph, yeah, I thought. Well, how much more? Honestly, let's be real. How much
He's probably
more
got
time?
10 years.
Yeah, but compared to these guys,
Yeah. I mean,
Steph was
Steph's just got to keep. Like, how old is Usain Bolt? He's just got to be fast enough to run around screens.
Efren though, but I'm not mad. Just to be clear though, like it's all good. You not naming Steph's totally fair. Like you can't. I mean, I wouldn't name him this season, right? I mean, I do think you have to give players longevity and what they've done. So obviously that matters. But when at the end of the day, all these players are. It's when we're arguing semantics, right? Semantics. You got to talk about the current guys. And so I have no problem with you not naming Steph as a top 5 guy right now. And he's older too, so I don't have an issue with that.
And no offense to LeBron, but let the younger player. Let your son come in. Let your son come in and do something big, LeBron.
What do you think, Amos? Who's your top 5?
So first off, yeah, because Efren knows, like, Steph is my boy. Like, I've been riding with Steph for so long, and just what he's been able to do over the last few years has just been crazy. But unfortunately, you can't name him top 5 right now. So right now, as a top 5, it's so close, man. It's so close for me, my top 5. I think these guys are just razor thin, specifically my top guys. Oh my gosh. So I want to put this guy at number 1 so bad. 2 years MVP, right? Leading it this year, arguably. Not saying he's going to win it. Nikola, the Joker, right? So I want to put him number 1 because his efficiency is out of this world. And I usually give the guy it when it's equal. Because back in the day, it was always when it was equal, you would go with the big man, right? When it was a big man and guard, you would give it to the big. Where nowadays, it's typically you want to give it to the guard, the wing, because they have the ball in their hands, they can shoot threes, they can create. The Joker is different, though, where he can do all those still. He just plays at a lot slower pace, right? And so it's hard for me to use what I'm going to say against him because he literally is the focal point of that offense. But for me to ignore Luka and what he's doing right now, what he's done in the playoffs specifically, especially last year, it's just tough. And so because of that, because of Luka just being so special and him being that guy, and then as you guys know, I'm the pure guy, the efficiency PER guy. He is number one right now in the league, and so it's hard for me to just ignore Luka. He's what's up?
Said the new GOAT.
Yeah, he's that guy. So for me, I'm going to go Luka number one, but it's so tough. I'm going to go the Joker number two, and the stat that I gave KJ that I had, and it's a crazy stat too because I've never seen anything like this. Honestly, the Joker, as of today, what's the date today, guys? What, February 24th?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's shot under 50% one time, and that was October 28th. So since October 28th, he's shot under 50% one time. And that's a remarkable stat for a guy who's not sitting in the paint like a Shaq, for example, just doing hook shots and layups and offensive rebounds, doing a Dennis Rodman. So he's super efficient. Every single game, Luka is going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to arguably get you a triple-double, and he's just efficient. And that's all that matters is he's efficient. He's doing it the right way, and his team always number one in the regular season. So at the end of the day, he doesn't have playoff success. I totally agree with y'all. And, if we want to make the arguments over someone because of that, fair. I won't be mad at that. But just from an efficiency standpoint, from being MVPs, he's already done everything. He's done it. So I'm naming him number two. It's Luka and Nikola 1 and 2 for me. Number 3 gets really tricky. Being honest with you guys, I probably have to go Giannis just for his longevity, what he's done, MVP, playoffs, and he hasn't really fallen off this season. So I probably have to go Giannis number 3, followed by Embiid number 4, who I'd argue Embiid's probably been better than Giannis. Let's be real this season. So that to me, 3 and 4 are just so close. Like they're really close. It's stupid hard, honestly, to argue those 3 and 4. And then 5, I'd go easy Jason Tatum right now. Jason Tatum is playing remarkable. In fact, I'd low key want to go Jason Tatum. You could arguably talk me into putting Giannis number 5, Tatum 4, and Embiid 3. Honestly, in fact, with Giannis being hurt, I'm gonna take the easy way out. With Giannis being hurt right now, I'm gonna go Embiid number 3, Jason Tatum 4, and I'll go Giannis 5. And I'm only disrespecting Giannis because he's hurt. And honestly, Tatum's year this year has been crazy. I mean, he's put up a great year. He's a two-way player. He can score, ISO, shoot. And shooting is a big deal, especially in the playoffs, and so obviously he struggled last year in the finals. I get that, but he's a true special player. So that's my top 5. And it's crazy for me to not have a KD or a Steph or LeBron, but to Efren's point, man, that's the new guys. It's a new era. But I'll just say lastly, to put a little controversy, I do love me some Ja, Efren. I do love me some Ja, but man, me and KJ was talking about this a few days ago, and honestly, man, if you compare Ja's numbers with the guy in the West from Midwest, yes, Shea's had a better year, bro. He really has, and he's been more efficient too. And so, I think potential-wise, it's hard to go against Ja. And
Alexander,
look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Yeah.
Alexander.
Wow.
Bro, I know you're the Ja guy, but like, look at the numbers. Even if you look at the most recent MVP races, Shai's actually moved ahead of him. Shai's been that special. So basically, I'm kind of surprised, Efren, you did go Ja that high, but I don't hate your list though.
But the thing is, I understand what you're saying about Joe, about the Thunder, but
Okay.
yeah, but how can you have those numbers? Look at the team he plays for, and look at the team that Shaw plays for.
He's efficient though. No,
Yeah,
but
the thing is with me is you don't have your where's. Can you let me know where the Thunder are at in the playoff seeding?
They're
The
11th.
Okay, and
Yeah, they're out of the. They're out of the play.
I know he's doing all these points, but how many games are they losing and he's doing this?
Are you saying
the
he's a
post
Zach
play.
Levine, where he's playing good on a bad team?
Thank you.
I'm not agreeing with you. You said that last year, and I said that's not true. I'm just asking if that's what you think.
No,
But is
everyone
it
here is
true?
gaping.
I love it. I
This is
love
what
it.
this is what so I know, but this is where I get upset with a lot of people that try to put player some. I'm not saying he's not talented. Gilchrist is a very talented player, but you can't put him right now. If you're playing on a bad team, of course you're gonna have great numbers. Look at Levine.
Oh my
Look at
god!
Levine now. Look at Levine. He can't do
Can
shit
I
for
jump
them.
in for 2 seconds though?
Yeah.
So I so disagree with that take because that happens a lot. It's the old Monte Ellis thing. On Monte Ellis,
Yeah,
With the Bradley
we
Beal.
all know
exactly.
we all know this, Efren. Like it's the old
Exactly.
Monte Ellis thing. You're on a bad team, you're going to score numbers. It's what you do. Someone has to score. We get that. No arguments there. But the difference is Shea is efficient. If you look at his PER, he's shooting way more.
He's probably shooting less shots too.
He's shooting less shots.
I'm gonna check real quick.
Brendan, calm down. So I'm just saying, like he's being efficient. He's being efficient. Defensively, it's not comparable. It really isn't. Look at this defensively the stats. So I'm just saying, from a PER standpoint, I'd buy it if he wasn't efficient and his field goal percentage was bad. But compare their field goal percentage too, Efren. I promise you. Go ahead and compare it. Go ahead. Like, and I'm just saying, like we looked at the numbers, man. Shea is that guy, and from a PER standpoint, he's as efficient as hell, and he doesn't have those guys like Memphis around him to help. He is literally the focal point, just like Jaw is. But I'm just saying, Jaw, as you know, and you wouldn't argue.
That's not true, though. That's not true, though, Amos. There's a couple of young guys on that team that are playing their butts off.
Yeah.
That kid from Australia.
Giddy is a good player.
Did I say, Alan? Did I say he was the only good player? I didn't say that. I said he's the focal point.
You said he was the focal point. I don't even think he's the focal point of that team, though, bro.
Who?
You'd be wrong if you said that. KJ, what do you? Is he not? He's trying to argue that Giddy is the focal point of OKC, and he's not. He's not.
No, he's more of like a early on Tyreek Evans, where he does everything. So what it is Jaw's taking 3 more shots a game than, or 2.5 shots more than Jaw, and you got to realize if Shea's the only scorer on that team, they're gonna double him more than Jaw gets doubled, because Shea can shoot from 3, so he is getting double teamed more. Because who's the second best scorer on the Thunder that you guys can even name? Nobody. Giddy's not averaging that much, I don't think. But even then, Is he averaging as much as Jaren Jackson? Is he averaging as much as Desmond Bane? No. So Shea's going to get more defensive help, or whoever's guarding Shea is getting more defensive help than whoever's guarding Jaw.
They wouldn't even be able to tell you who the top 3 scorer on OKC is right now. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The fact is OKC doesn't have scorers, so it's a bad argument to make to say, oh, well, he has to score, and like he has to score. I mean, he is on a less talented team and he's more efficient. That you can't argue that. So again, if you want to talk about who has more potential, sure, who you like better, no question, argue that. But again,
who's been in the league longer? Who's been in the league longer?
You can't say. Shea's been in the league. I think they're about 1 year apart. Shea was on the Clippers the year that Ja was in college, but other than that, I think they've been in the league for. Yeah, Shea's only been in the league for 4 years, and Ja's been in the league for 3.
How were his stats? Can you give me his stats when he was in the Clippers, please?
When he was a rookie, yeah.
Yeah, Shea.
Shea when he was a rookie.
Who was on his team?
Shea when he was a rookie, he averaged 10 points.
So by the way, now we're going to go to 2018.
Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this. If you reverse if you put him on the other team, who's still going to be the standout?
Shea or Ja?
Yeah.
Shea. I mean,
I think Ja would, because you're flipping spots. But what I'm saying is that.
So you're saying that Gilgeous-Alexander would be the focal point of Memphis if he was on that team.
I see what you're saying. He wouldn't be as much as he is in OKC. No question about it. You're right. But again, no question. I thought you were right. I thought you were saying if he were to go to OKC, would he still be the primary guy? Right? Ja.
Giddy is definitely not the focal point, because he only averages 16 and Shea's averaging 31. So there's nobody on that team that's comparable to Shea.
No, I understand the analytics, but you got to take into consideration that who is the more dynamic player? Who is the guy that does more? Who's the guy that looks better doing it?
But that's the
I mean,
same that's the
it's
same
hard to look.
argument they've been doing with Kyrie and Dame. Who's the better player? Dame. But since Kyrie's more flashy, people think Kyrie's
Right.
better. Just because
Right.
Ja has these flashy
Yeah,
dunks.
but there's other measurements on that too. I mean, because Kyrie is not a leader and Dame is a leader.
A leader to what?
Dame
A
is a
six
guy
seed?
that's going to smack you upside your head and tell you let's get on board. Kyrie isn't going to do that kind of stuff.
What has
All
Dame
he's going to
done?
do is dribble the ball around and sometimes pass it, and most of the time shoot it.
Luka's been in the league for 4 or 5
Dame
years, and he's made
Dame
as
has
many
got to
Western
carry
Conference
his
Finals.
team. He's got to carry his team.
And so did Luka, and they've made the same amount of Western Conference Finals, and Dame's been in the league for 12
We're not
years.
talking about Luka though. You
But I'm
didn't say
saying-
Luka.
but
You
you're
said
saying Dame's a
Kyrie
leader.
and Dame.
But you're saying Dame's the leader. Dame has gotten them to 1 Western Conference Finals, and then
But who has he had help? Who has he gotten help from?
when he was going up against the 8 seed Pelicans, they got swept when he was a 1 seed. What did he lead them to?
Bro, but we're talking about a 1 seed during the regular season and then experience in the playoffs. And who did they get swept by?
They got swept by a second-year Anthony Davis.
By the Pelicans though,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Who probably had more firepower than he had on his
it
team.
was Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis versus Damian Lillard, Yusuf Nurkic, CJ McCollum, and they had one other player.
Bro, come on. You're gonna CJ McCollum and Jerkic? Come on.
You're saying it like CJ McCollum's not putting up like 23 on New Orleans right now.
Oh, he
But
is.
what were we just talking about? Monte Ellis. What were we
That's
just
a
talking
good team,
about?
though.
Monte
You're
Ellis?
saying New Orleans is a bad team?
No, I'm not saying. Well, they are without. They're barely getting
Because
it done
they missed
without.
2 players. No, they missed Brandon Ingram for 2 months, and they've missed Zion ever since Brandon Ingram came back.
Exactly,
2 top
but
scorers
they got
out.
more pieces. But they got more pieces on that team.
Not when Dame was the 1 seed.
Dame have on his team.
Dame had CJ McCollum. He had Yusuf Nurkic.
Look,
All
guys,
Anthony Davis had was Drew Holiday.
Guys, I think we're going a little too long. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, Efren, you had a good list. I think I had a pretty good list. I'm just saying, my point is, again, look, potential-wise, if you guys want to say Jaw is going to be better, I have no question about that. In fact, I would probably pick Jaw. I'm just saying, today, efficiency-wise, you can't. And the best way to talk, obviously, to talk about, who the focal point is just go to usage, right? I mean, usage, it should have never been in a debate who on OKC is the guy. It's clearly Shea. And so I'm just saying, from an efficiency standpoint, he's been better. It's why he's higher on a lot of MVP races than Jaw. But going forward, if you guys want to pick Jaw, I think a lot of people would probably agree with you guys. I'm just more trying to give Shea a little hype, man, because he's been absolutely fantastic this year. And you guys know I don't like OKC. I don't mess with him at all. But I just more wanted to give him props. But good opinions.
And I understand that. I agree. I agree with you giving him props, but I think that you are such a numbers guy. It just cracks me up. You're such a numbers guy. You don't even look at all the intangibles. I mean, okay, great. He's got great numbers, but where's his team? Nowhere. Outside the play-in.
But
Allen,
Alfred just said they're a terrible team.
They were
What's he supposed to do?
They were a terrible team.
Like I said, he's a good player on a bad team.
Yeah,
Give
but
me
what?
the stats.
But he's
Give me
not a
the
top
stats of
5
what he did.
guy. He's
Give me what he
not a
did.
No,
top
that's not what
5
he's
guy.
saying. He's not saying he's top
Yes,
5.
he is. He says,
No.
he goes,
No.
I could put him there
No.
because of the analytics.
He said that. He said
I
that.
could put him over. I could put him over Ja if you're going to take Ja, and then you're going to put somebody over him because of the analytics.
But he never put Ja
You
in
got to
top
take
5.
all the intangibles in there. Where's his team?
He was talking
Who does he
about-
have around him?
He was
Come
talking.
on.
Amos was talking about how Efren has
Come
Ja
on.
of top 5. Amos said that Ja's not top 5, but he would put Shea this year. Anyways,
Ow.
we were going too long about this.
Anyway, go ahead,
Alan.
KJ. Who's your top 5, bro?
You're wild. I never said Shea was top 5. I never said even Ja was top 5. So Efren, you know what I said. KJ, you know what I said. So anyways, Alan, what's your top 5? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, KJ. Go
My
ahead.
top-
Who's your 5?
My top 5 is
'cause
easy.
I don't care about the NBA anyway, so.
My top 5. My number 1. I gotta go with Giannis.
Giannis. Oh my
Hey.
God.
Like Amos said, Jokic is a 2-time MVP, but so is Giannis, and Giannis plays way better defense. He's a champion. I think he is as of right now, the face of the league. As of right now. At number 2, I got Luka. Luka is just that guy. I've been riding with him since I saw him play when he was 16 years old against Westbrook when he was in Europe. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Jokic, and I used to tussle and say that Embiid was better than Jokic, but Embiid has had a better team throughout his career than Jokic, and he's gotten just as far as Jokic has gotten. So I have to give it to Jokic. He's the PER prince now. He's like I said, he doesn't do nothing in the playoffs, but neither has what's the furthest Embiid's got is like the second round, and that was when he was against the Kawhi when he won when he hit the shot.
Yeah, that was in the conference finals, wasn't it?
No, that was round 2. Because in the conference finals they played the Bucks, and then that's when like Kawhi dunked on Giannis and
that's
stuff.
right. That's right.
That's when the 1 year wonder stopped Giannis. Ever since Giannis is fucking top 5.
He lost. That was when Kawhi won the championship. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't Giannis' year.
You had to why do I put Zach LaVine in that top 5?
Yeah. So why would Luka be number 1? He ain't done nothing except score a bunch of points.
Hey,
what do you
talk
mean?
about that later.
Hey, what?
He
ain't won nothing. He ain't won nothing.
He went to Western Conference Finals with Jalen Brunson as his sidekick. Number 4, I got Joel Embiid, and I'm doing 6. I don't give a damn because I'm not leaving him out. 5 is Tatum because he's basically Giannis.
Jordan.
He's Giannis light. He's light Giannis, and then number 6 is LeBron. I don't care what you say. LeBron's been my top 6.
Put that motherfucker top 11.
LeBron, have you seen it? If you've seen when he sits or when he doesn't play,
he probably wouldn't be in your top 25, E. So we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear your. We don't want to hear where you. We don't want to hear where you're going to put him because it doesn't matter to us.
But if you look at the stats,
personally, I take your opinion of him with a grain of salt, bro. Personally. I feel the same way about how you feel about LeBron, about how you feel about the Cowboys, okay?
If you look at LeBron's stats when he's either on the bench. Hey, this is for the other 2 people and the subscribers. I don't want to hear you. If you look at LeBron's stats when he's either on the bench or he's not playing that game, the Lakers are negative 194 points, which is by far the worst in the league. It is. LeBron is the only reason. If you look at after their 2-10 start, they're 26-22.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
Anthony Davis's. Anthony Davis's.
Who made that team?
Rob Pelinka.
No, don't blame
Genie
Rob
Bus.
Pelinka. Who made that team? Who made that team?
It's not LeBron. They said
Shut
LeBron.
up.
They said LeBron has no input.
That's why I don't understand. LeBron is the general manager of that team right now.
No,
he's the head coach.
Hey, we're getting way too far off the subject, guys. We're getting way too far off the subject, and we still got some other stuff to talk about. It. I mean, unless you want to spend the rest of the time on this, it's already 6:15.
Yeah,
let's go.
We'll just say we'll hold on to a LeBron podcast. So it'll probably be 4 hours.
Later. Yeah, we're gonna need.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Alan, what's your top 5?
Oh man, I want to put Jokic at number 1 too, but he just hasn't done enough in the postseason for me to make him number 1. So I got to go with you, KJ. I got Giannis at number 1, and I think that you're absolutely right. He's the face of the league. He's the one guy that has been more consistent throughout his career or over the last 5-6 years than anybody else, in my opinion. He does everything, and he's improved every year. Okay. My number 2 would probably be Jason Tatum. The kid is just, he's played beyond whatever, anything that I ever expected from him coming out of, where's he from? Duke?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, he didn't really. I wasn't that impressed with him at Duke, but he definitely is an impressive ball player. So I'd have to put him at number 2.
Is he a superstar?
I say he's a superstar.
Because I know people were saying that he's not a superstar after that final.
he just needs to show more leadership skills. But he's got a complete game. I mean, like you said, he plays defense. You know, he's another version of Giannis. He just hasn't taken control of that team.
And doesn't have the
You know,
frame.
no, I think he does. I
I'm
wouldn't say
saying
that
not the
he's not.
frame of Giannis, a 7-footer who's 240 just running through people.
Yeah, but Giannis is still kind of slight too, though. I mean,
And he's skillful, I think, too, to be honest.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's got more offensive skill than Giannis.
yeah, he probably does. He probably does. You know, but I think he's a more complete player. Um, I would probably then put Jokic at number 3, and then Luka at number 4.
Wait, who was your number one?
Giannis.
Giannis,
Oh, it was Jonas. I got you.
So
Okay.
Giannis, Tatum,
and then
Jokic, Luka.
Jokic, Luka. Okay. Luka
and then
4.
my
Okay.
number 5 would be Embiid, because he's a big man that can do everything too. You know, and he probably is more mobile than Jokic is, but he hasn't stepped up. He might get it this year though. He hasn't stepped up to take that MVP yet during the regular season, but he might get it this year.
Hopefully. I want Embiid to win
So-
badly.
Can I ask a question?
That would
What's
be
the-
that would be my top 5.
So
What's
besides
that-
Efren being the ultimate American, loving the Cowboys and everything, all of us really have 4 of the top 5 players are all foreigners, and Tatum.
Yeah.
Tatum's holding the American flag for us.
Well, KJ, I think you, me, and Alan had this. Even though Alan thought he heard something else, you and me and Alan had the same top 5. We just had different orders, whereas Efren had a different top 5. Sounds like.
Yeah,
Yeah, better top 5.
an American top 5.
Yeah, a
Remember,
better top
basketball was-
5.
Basketball was made in America. Don't you say that all the time? Nah,
You're lucky
but
we're
you
not
got-
big enough to
why they
have
got
Europeans.
before-
Why they got a Euro step? Why they
Before
got
we-
a Euro step?
Hold on,
All right, Mr.
Before-
This
hold
thing
on,
was
hold on.
made in America.
Hold on, before
Mr.
we
Bayern Munich.
That's ruined the game.
Bayern.
The Euro step has ruined the game.
before we end this little thing, your guys' top 5 are great. Are a great 5. Yeah, Giannis is a great player, but still, no offense to Giannis, I see him going against if Jokic has an NBA title or Embiid has an NBA title, we're not talking about Giannis. Let's be honest.
Maybe if you say Jokic, but Embiid, no, because Embiid has no MVPs. No
But woulda,
TPOY.
coulda, shoulda. What does that matter, man?
Well, no, he's
Yeah.
saying if in the future, if Jokic gets a title, he's over Giannis, which maybe, but
No,
Giannis,
I don't think it is.
but he doesn't have the defense that Giannis has. That's my
I don't
point,
think he is.
and that's where he's even
He's
tied
not
with
as mobile.
with
He
Joel
doesn't
Embiid.
have the movement. He can shoot he's a bigger Luka. The game is really slow for him. So
Before
I wouldn't put him ahead of Giannis. He would never be the face of the league. Whereas Luka would, he would be if he wins a title.
For me, it's just hard to go with anybody higher than Luka and the Joker, especially the Joker. I mean, listen. Jovic has literally won the last 2 MVPs, can maybe win his 3rd in a row. I get the playoff thing, but it's hard to really have anybody higher than him other than Luka. And then, yes, we're talking about longevity. I can't hate you guys on saying Giannis because I did at first have Giannis. I just think, man, my 3 and 5 between Giannis, Tatum, and Embiid, I just think it's so close. Whereas 1 and 2, I'm just more firm with those 1 and 2. But I do think we all make good arguments. I don't think anybody makes crazy argument or anything awful.
I before we end this segment, I just want to say I feel like James Harden was disrespected. He did basically everything Luka's doing now, and he got too much hate for doing Euro steps and step backs when he just knew how to play the game by the rules that were written, how they were written. He has a gather step and then he takes his 2 steps. Everybody calls it a travel. He did everything. He did everything
They
that
all
Luka did.
do it though, bro.
But that's what I'm
Every
saying.
time
No,
they do the
they're
Euro
doing it
step,
now.
it's a travel.
No, but they're doing it now. But everybody hated James Harden when he was doing it when he was in Houston. He was doing things better than what Luka's doing. And I just wanted to say for myself that I more appreciate what James Harden did because he basically did what Luka's doing now on better efficiency.
And didn't he win an MVP during that time?
Yeah, but he didn't. But everybody was talking.
Okay,
Everybody
so he
hated him.
he was given credit for it, right?
He
He
was
was
given
given
credit,
credit
but
for
no.
it.
But I'm saying he got
My
too much
my
hate.
problem with him was is that he thought he was Michael Jordan and he could carry a team to a championship, and he never was that.
But
That was my
he
problem
never
with
had a
him.
sidekick. He had a broken down Dwight Howard, a shitty Chris
No,
Paul,
I'm not
and a
I'm not
terrible
saying that.
Westbrook.
I'm not saying that, bro. But I don't think that he could have done it even if he had a sidekick.
They almost did it
To
with a
be
broken
honest
down
with
Chris
you,
Paul against the Warriors and KD. They were one game away, and then Chris Paul broke down. That's why I don't have faith in him and Chris Paul. But
okay. I mean,
anyways,
I,
let's
I
move
don't think
on.
they would have won the title. I don't think they would have won the title if
That
they
was the
had
year
played.
that was the year that the Cavs made it. The 2018 Cavs when it was just LeBron, Kyle Korver, and Tristan Thompson. But
Wait.
And
KJ, hold on. You're telling me that team was supposed to win the finals?
who?
the
That sounds
Houston team.
No. I'm saying. So if Houston wins that one game, they go on to play the Cavs, who only had LeBron, Kyle Korver, and Tristan Thompson. No Kyrie, and I think Kevin Love was injured.
KJ. You're not picking up what I'm saying. You're saying that Cleveland team with that elite team should have won the finals. So we're
No,
right
no,
to
no. Cleveland shouldn't have won the finals.
we're right to use that against LeBron's record, right? Efren.
Anyways, we gotta get to college. We gotta get to college.
Are you serious? I'm a bum.
It's time to talk about the college and how last year UNC knocked out Coach K.
Oh my
Ended
god, that
his
was so bad.
career. But yeah, we'll talk about this year. My
And
UNC
where are both
sucks.
where are both of them now, bro? Where are both of them now?
Hey,
We're
we're
holding
higher,
on for dear life.
hey, we're higher than UNC.
We're
That's all
holding
that
on
matters.
for dear life.
Yeah, bro. Percentage points better than UNC.
Hey, so just give it a heads up.
We're not
This
your
year,
dub.
I'll start it off. This year, college basketball, man, it is so up for grabs. There's no dominant team. There's no number one seed that can be a number one seed more than a week. Because somehow, some way, as soon as they become the number one seed, they lose. You got Purdue that looked like they were strong, but I don't know, man. You got this Indiana team that can play. You got the Big Ten is very healthy. ACC, Pittsburgh leading the conference. Who would have thought that? They just keep on going. What do you think, Amos?
Well, I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier. This year is just so different in the sense that we don't have the normal standout powers like we're used to seeing. And you did say like you really think it's a year where you could truly see it being anybody. And obviously that is college basketball, that's March Madness. But to that point, yeah, you don't have the normal Kentucky or a Villanova, right? Villanova had won 2 years in the last 6 years, whatever 5 years it was, and they're really down.
Wasn't it? 3 times.
Three
Did they win
times,
back to back? Did they win back to back?
and then they had another one 2 years later. Alan, was that what
Yeah,
it
I
was?
think it was 2 years later.
No.
It was either
Villanova-
You know who
Villanova
remembers that one? KJ remembers that one.
Shut up.
Remember the one?
Oh yeah, that's the shot.
Hold
So
on,
anyway,
one second.
yeah. To that point, the best power team lately, Villanova, they're down. You can go to North Carolina, which is an interesting stat. So North Carolina, if you guys didn't know, is the first preseason team ever to potentially miss the NCAA tournament altogether. And this is a year that they're actually extending the tournament in itself. So they were preseason number one, and now they're one of four teams out of the tournament as we speak. So North Carolina struggled mightily. Duke with a new coach. I know they were sixth in the ACC as of last week. But look no further than Louisville, for example. They're 3 in, I think, 23 or 24. They're heavily struggling. They had a guy, Kenny Payne from Kentucky. Alan, you're probably familiar with Kenny Payne. Won a championship with Louisville in '85. Yeah. He's actually a homegrown guy for Louisville. He was with Kentucky for a while, their main assistant, and he and their program is absolutely struggling. They're awful this season. So it's just been a situation.
They're at the bottom of the conference, 2-15, 4-24 overall.
Syracuse.
They got a 143 percentage points. 143.
Back to what you guys were saying. It was Duke who beat Wisconsin, and then Villanova got their championship, and then North Carolina beat Gonzaga, and then Villanova beat Michigan. So they had 2 championships.
Was only 2. Okay.
Yeah, 2 and
It
3
Yeah.
was
years.
two,
Yeah, 2 and
two
3
and
years.
3
That's what.
years. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but that, so then, so anyways, you go to Syracuse, right? One of their main rivals. Syracuse has actually been pretty down the last few seasons. Jim Boeheim, it seems like the game has kind of passed him. You don't see a lot of coaches going with the zone. He's obviously a main zone guy.
Well, yeah, and he's playing all of his kids too, though, bro. I mean, that's his biggest problem right there. He's playing all of his kids.
Yeah, it hasn't been very good for him at all. And so now all of a sudden you have these football schools like Alabama, and there's obviously an elephant in the room with that team we'll talk about in a second. You have a team like a football team that's a power now. That's one of the best teams. You have a team like Tennessee that's traditionally a football school being a power school. A team like
Miami, University of Miami.
they're good.
Yeah,
You have a team-
Miami and Pittsburgh are 1-2 in the ACC.
right?
When's the last
TCU
time Pittsburgh was a power?
TCU's ranked 24th right now.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But yeah, and so at the end of the day, there's a lot of, like Kentucky, for example, they're not as good as they've been in the past. They're a basketball school. And then unfortunately in the Pac-12, right, guys, we've seen it unfortunately the last 5-10 years now, 15 years, really longer than that. Pac-12 school sounds like our Pac-12 is going to be another 2-team league, and UCLA is going to be leaving the conference next season?
Yeah, next season.
Really only have Arizona, but you just have Arizona, UCLA. You obviously have Gonzaga from the West. You have St. Mary's, who's been pretty good as well. But yeah, so I'll just say it's just crazy this season, having all these normal powers being so down this season. So yeah, to that point of effort early on, it really could be anybody's year this year. It's going to be exciting.
But
For me,
Yeah,
huh?
that.
Go with KJ.
No doubt about that.
Me personally, I really don't. I don't follow much college basketball. I tried to a little bit more this year. I always follow it during March Madness, but for me, it just seems like the reason why a lot of these high-profile schools are going down is because of um, like TV and social media. All these other teams are able to get more exposure, and all these big names. You can go to a Kansas State where you're going to be the star player, and you don't have to worry about 4 other NBA prospects, and still get the exposure of those NBA prospects and get to get drafted in the lottery and change your life forever. I'm looking at it right now. I haven't heard. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I haven't heard San Diego State be top 25 in a few years, right?
No,
Yeah.
they're top 25. They just haven't made it past the top 10.
Or even like I love.
I know it's Efren, right?
I
Since Jalen McDowell's, I believe, his years, I want to say.
Yeah, I have three teams that I love in college, and that's UNC. That's my number one, and then I like Syracuse and Marquette. And I've never seen Marquette stay in a top 25 this long as they have in a long time.
That is very.
I haven't seen them stay. They've been in there, Amos. I've never seen them stay in it consistently. They're 10th now.
Maybe they've been down the last couple of years, but you got to remember they also lost. What was his name? Efren Buzz White, was that his last name? Buzz something White, I think. I want to say. Who was a
coach? They got a
what's up?
Coach, they got the coach from VC
right. And they haven't been for sure. I'm just saying though, it hasn't been that long, right? And I'm saying like as of like 4 or 5 years ago though, they were still a perennial tournament team who was always hovering 25. So it may be the last couple of years, KJ, but Marquette's usually is really good. I mean, your boy, what KJ? Oh, you know this, Jimmy Butler. They have. Yeah, I'm just saying, like they had so many guys during that time, right? That have just been, what's his name, Novik, the shooter. So yeah, they have a lot of guys, man. But yeah,
for me, like I said, I don't really watch that much, but I know like the one thing I know for sure is that every time you're gonna get Gonzaga with a nice record, and then when they get into March Madness, they're gonna face some real teams that aren't in their conference, and then they're gonna get demolished.
Let me say something about that this year, KJ, and we always talk about that because we have a couple of friends that are Gonzaga fans. And want to know something? This year's the first year they actually struggled in their own conference.
They're in second place behind St. Mary's right now.
Yeah, yes, they are. They're not dominating. They lost 3 games. I think they've lost 2 games. I think they got swept this year by St. Mary's already.
By St. Mary's. The only St. Mary's lost was to Santa Clara.
I'm looking at the top 25, and they're Gonzaga's 12, St. Mary's is 15, and they both only have 5 losses. But it's probably the difference in conference loss.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
played a lot of good teams this year.
14-1 to 13-2.
Yeah, and if you look at it, Gonzaga, I see them going far again. I just don't, like everybody says, I just don't. I can't see them winning the big game.
What
I
round did
feel
they go
like,
out last year?
huh?
What round did they go out
They
last year?
actually made it to the Final Four.
Final Four?
They
I think
made
they
it to
made
the
the
Final
Final
Four?
Four. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did. They lost to Kansas.
Wasn't that the year before?
Or was it Sweet? No, they made it to the championship against when they lost to Baylor. That
That
was
was 2 years ago, though.
That was 2 years ago, though, Efren.
and
Yeah.
last year who they played. So they only made it to Sweet 16.
I thought
I'm
last.
looking at it right now.
I thought it was like second round or Sweet 16, KJ. Wasn't it?
They lost. Trying to find a good one. Okay, Gonzaga lost. Oh, they lost in the third round to Arkansas.
Yeah,
Sweet 16. Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Yeah.
316. Oh, no, Elite Eight. Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, this is not last year. This is when. No, this was last year. Yeah, they lost to. Are you sure that's the Elite
Yeah,
Eight?
because
No, that's Sweet
Kansas
16.
Villanova
Round 3 is Sweet
and
16.
UNC Duke was the Final Four.
Yeah,
Yeah, round
they were Sweet 16.
Yeah, round 3 is Sweet 16.
Yeah, so they lost to Arkansas and they lost by 6. But yeah,
So,
like I said, I don't know much.
No, but you're right. I appreciate your honesty about college basketball and the teams you're talking about. They are great. Are great teams that are playing in good conferences. All those teams play in great conferences. What about you, Alan? What are you thinking about college right now?
Well, you guys are all bringing up, the elite teams of the past, and I'll be honest with you. My school is right there. UCLA is playing better than pretty much everybody, other than maybe Houston and Alabama.
Yeah.
As far as those legacy teams, it seems like UCLA and Kansas are the only ones. Everybody else is, pretty much upstarts. Although Houston was in the Elite Eight last year. I think that they've probably been the cream of the crop this year so far up to this point. I mean, they're 25-2. They haven't had any back-to-back losses.
The good thing they have proven that you can make runs. I've watched you see.
But you got to take into consideration the conference that they play in too.
Yeah.
So I think that when you start looking at the top 25, you got to think about Alabama plays in the SEC, which is a strong conference. Kansas plays in the Big 12, Big 10, Big 12, whatever it is. And they've always dominated that conference, and they've always been an elite team. You got UCLA. Purdue has played well over the last decade, and they've been off and on over the last 25 years, maybe. You got Virginia. You got to take into consideration they won a title, 5 years ago? 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And so.
Hi, Morgan.
Yeah, so I think it really is up for grabs this year as far as I don't see, any lower seeded team in the March Madness that's gonna be in the Final Four or play in the championship game, but they could end up in the Elite Eight. It could be another team like last year. Who was it last year?
The Cinderella team.
Yeah, what was the Cinderella team last year?
Not Chicago.
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago. There was another team out of New York, out of New Jersey. What was that team?
New Jersey.
Peacock.
Bonnet. How you say it? It's like a BON,
No,
Alan, right?
St. Peter's. St. Peter's was last year.
St. Pete's. Yeah, St. Pete's.
Peacocks.
Yeah, they played. They went to the Sweet 16, didn't they? They knocked off number 1 seed after the first round, didn't they?
Yeah,
no, they knocked off Kentucky, which was the 2 seed, Murray State, the 7th seed.
That was in the first round.
Yeah, and then Purdue, the 3rd seed.
Oh, Purdue was the 3rd seed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Baylor was the 1 seed, and they lost to North Carolina in the 2nd round.
Yeah, I don't really see any of those teams. Although like you said, St. Mary's is playing really well. San Diego State is leading the Mountain West, Is it the Mountain West that they play in? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're playing the Mountain West right now.
Yeah, San Diego is leading, and they're always a team to contend with, but they seem to, get knocked off in the second round pretty much most of the time. So, yeah, I see, the teams that are in the top five are probably going to be the teams that are, one of those teams is going to come out on top when it's all said and done.
And like I said this year, I like how it's up for grabs. I have seen a lot of the outside teams. There's a team in Chattanooga that people are really not talking about that can shoot the three like there's nothing. But like you said, we gotta wait till this extension of the tournament. Hopefully next week when we come back, we know a little bit more about a little bit more. We can talk about the conference and stuff or the March Madness because it is coming up, and I feel like we'll know more. We can see how good each team can be. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. I feel like you're right. A lot of the top five conferences, the Power Five, there's a lot of teams out of there that can win it. So,
well, to that point about Chattanooga too. I mean, that's the game once you get into the tournament, especially for the smaller schools. It's all about the three ball, and a lot of times they can compete with the bigger schools who are more athletic than them and bigger because they literally can just shoot the ball and they can shoot pretty well. So Chattanooga, if they're a really good three ball team, they're going to need those three balls to be successful. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I know we'll all probably be filling some brackets. KJ, are you? What do you
I
think,
think
KJ?
we should do one on. We should actually have a features podcast that we actually do a bracket, each one of us.
Do a
Yeah, I
live. I'd
figure
be
that's what we do.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
so
That
like,
could be
well.
unless you
that could
want to
be
talk
one of
about
the that could be one of the like the first one we do at the new location that we decided
Yeah,
if we
Yep.
get it all set
yeah.
up by then.